Welcome to tonight's edition of the Perfect Movie Quest with your movie men here gathered tonight. We've got Callum, Drew, and Justin joining the conversation. We will be discussing Drew's nomination. Last time he nominated Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And as a perfect movie, we've all watched it. We're ready to discuss. Some of us may have our votes already in mind, but willing to change one way or the other if we're so persuaded. So Drew, persuade us.
Yeah, I nominated this movie. I've had this movie in the clip for a while, mainly because I had seen it and I felt like it was one of those special enough movies that you don't want to watch it back to back to back to back. But I remember the first time that I watched it when it was like leaving the theaters, like the last weekend that it was leaving the theaters, and I hadn't heard anything about it. And I remember watching it, and I'm pretty sure it was on our group chat. I went on and I was like, hey, has anybody seen this movie? And if you haven't, stop what you're doing and sprint to go watch this movie. Like, it was incredible. And so I think it checks most of the boxes, especially the big boxes, in order for it to qualify as a perfect movie. The second time viewing it, I enjoyed it. I was a little nervous, but I enjoyed it just as much, even more so, because I knew what was going on. But the biggest takeaway, not the biggest, but one of the biggest takeaways for me was, in a time of cinema where the multiverse was just getting beat to death, they come out with this banger that right at the beginning, the first sequence is like, I had no faith in the movie. I was sitting there and I was like, the acting's weird. The family relationships were super weird. And I was kind of uncomfortable. And then once it switched into like the plot and the storyline, I was glued in the entire time. And I think it's just impressive that while the MCU and every other movie was doing multiverse stuff, this one was able to take a really unique take and add enough surprises to keep you interested when other movies that are in the multiverse, I just kind of roll my eyes at, especially during that time. It was like, oh, here we go again. So now anything can happen. And they really played on that. Anything can happen anywhere, all at once even. And so they really stuck true to the name, and there's not much I can see that is not perfect about it, minus maybe somebody's particular taste in the genre.
All right, Drew, just a couple things that are completely unrelated to the movie and unrelated to what you said. I just think it's so funny that you are currently living in Japan. You've been there for what, 4 months? Your English is suffering, which is really funny.
Oh no.
No, it's fine. You couldn't think of the word familial, so you have to say family relations. And then you also mixed a metaphor. You said glued in instead of locked in, which is just no. You're fine. It made me smile a couple times. I'm like, it's so funny. You grew up in America, yet a few months in Japan, you start to forget. And
how weird is that?
Peter Pan. You're like Peter Pan after he leaves Neverland.
I'm just glad that your accent's still the same, Drew. Otherwise, people watching this would think you're just being totally into the movie. You know what I mean?
I'm trying real hard to pronounce my R's and L's here.
Yeah, dude. I'm glad you're not like Mackenzie Dern, just faking it, trying to be more legitimate, you know? Anyway, no, that was beautiful, though. A couple things, because I'm with you. My first experience watching this movie, I actually a coworker of mine who was a fellow slacker was like, hey, do you have any meetings for the next 2 hours? I'm like, no. And he's like, what do you say we skip out? And we just, nobody will ask. Nobody, like, if you go and then I go, that it won't be suspicious, and let's go catch a movie. So we literally caught a movie in the middle of the day, and he's like, I heard this one was good. And I'm like, I've never heard of it before. And so him and I both raw dogged this movie in the middle of a work day. It was like a Tuesday mid-morning showing, matinee, and we had like a personal pan pizza. It was a cool experience, and I was just like, I'd rather do this than work, even if it's a bad movie. I'd rather watch a movie in a movie theater than work. And so I had the same thing, Drew. At the beginning, I was like, is this like a Asian drama or something? Like they're complaining about taxes and at a laundromat and lesbian daughter. Like, is this going to be one of those like sending a message like to the Asian community type movies? Whatever. I'm just popping popcorn, or whatever. And then, like you said, due to the insurance, or I'm sorry, the IRS scene where, well, first of all, it kind of catches you with that first, like on the security cameras, you see him do like a somersault or something at the laundromat, and you're like, that was weird. And you just kind of forget about it. But then at the IRS place, when he appears and he's from the multiverse, and I think I told you, Drew, I was very similar. I was like, this isn't a drama. This isn't a series, but this is a fun movie. Okay. So I had to like shift my paradigm. And that's what you get when you raw dog it without any expectations, is you kind of have to, roll with the punches. I'm like, this is a fun movie. And then the chapstick fanny pack nunchuck scene happened. And I'm like, I'm all in. They're doing kung fu in this? It's multiverse and kung fu? Dude, count me in. And I was like, is this? And later on, I come to confirm, I was like, no way, is that Data from Goonies? No way. Come to find out, he had retired from acting for like 30 years, and this is his first time back. You kidding me? And he's not only acting really good, he sounds the same, which is hilarious, but now he's doing kung fu? Are you kidding me, Data? That's awesome. And so anyway, at that point, I was all in.
I thought the same thing when Data, like, that first sequence, I was like rooting for him. I was like,
isn't it Short Round?
Huh?
His name is Short Round in.
Oh no, are you thinking about Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom? Because he was in that as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He was Data in Goonies.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. You're going a different movie. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Boomer, try and keep up.
Yeah.
but
Jason.
When he first showed up, I thought the same thing. I was like, it's Data. And I'm like, good for him. Like, he's getting back in. He's in, like, he was typecasted because he's Asian and can't speak English very good. And I was like, I threw him so many bones in that first act. Just like, he's been retired for so long. His acting isn't very good. But dude, when he ate the chapstick and he got into it and he switched, I'm like, he's obviously taken the last 30 years in acting school, because there's no way that somebody could take that much time off and come back and just hit a home run like that. And it was I'm forgetting English again. It was a breath of fresh air because I had such low expectations for him. And,
yeah. I mean, when I first heard him talk, I was like, no way, is that Data? And then I heard him talk in the movie, and then I immediately translated it in my head, that same voice, to, that's no fortune cookie. And I was like, it's him. It is him. So I had an awesome first experience with this movie. Again, okay, so a couple notes, and then I'll pass the ball and I'll shut up for a little bit. A couple notes that what I think I like more than I dislike. For sure, I like this more than I dislike it. But did you guys feel like it was kind of a low budget movie, but a blockbuster feel? Like, the props and the gadgets that they used looked very homemade. It was very tactical. It was very analog. And yet, there were other scenes where obviously blue screen, huge CG. Yeah. But even the hot dog fingers, those were practical effects. It felt like a lower budget movie. But then there were other elements that were just like completely astounding and spectacle and amazing. And I kind of like, and again, I don't know the production company. I think it was a Chinese production company, if I remember right, when the credits were scrolling. But I really liked it. It was a very unique take, because in today's world, you either get like an indie film that's all practical and grounded and down to earth, or you get a Marvel Cinematic Universe, completely CG. Everything's just like, it looks like garbage because everything's so cartoonish. This one, I feel like, was a nice blend of the two. Like in the van, when, then they're doing the, like they're tracking everybody and everything. I was like, this is it felt grounded in somewhat reality. It felt like tangible. It felt like I could touch, like you could see the griminess of the van, and you could see the keyboards of the people that were working. So I really like that element of it. They obviously pulled from some elements from Marvel, the multiverse. And again, that's not Marvel's, but in recent memory. Marvel does the multiverse thing, so there was a little bit of that crossover. But again, the unique way in which they played that, I feel like, set it apart from Marvel. And then the final note that I'll make is it also had some elements of the Matrix, obviously. Neo saying, like, plugged in, and he opens his eyes, I know Kung Fu, and is similar. But what I like about this is that it wasn't a one-to-one comparison. They like the element of that story where they had to do something so crazy and so unique that would pull from the other universe that they want, the skills that they wanted to pull from. I thought that was genius and a really fun way to like kind of bend that archetype in a very they made it their own. It didn't feel like it was a ripoff of the Matrix, which I thought was cool. So anyway, those are a few of my thoughts. Justin, what did you think? This is your first time watching it, right?
Yeah. Where to begin? This is definitely a anime adapted to a movie type feel. It also has different feels per chapter, and which is kind of on par, but each bookend of the did they do parts or whatever? I can't remember what the segues were. There are elements of this movie that I really like, and then there's that haphazard, because you're getting everything everywhere all at once. That is almost too much to take in, and maybe that's the disadvantage of only watching it once, right? But this feel to me, and I apologize for it, but it just happened to me, is I've seen this movie before. And so originality is just a notch down for me. It's called The One with Jet Li. Do you remember that movie? And how his multiverse was killing all the other hymns, so that there was only two left, and he was trying to be the one and then conquer the entire universe. And so I still had that in my brain the whole time. I'm like, stop it. It's not the same movie. It's not the same movie. But there's elements of that movie that I really like. That's one of my underrated great movies. And I'm like, I want it to be that, and it wasn't. And so I was disappointed, but it is different enough that it did affect it. I'm trying it not to. As far as it definitely didn't feel like low budget to me. This felt like $100 million movie to produce. So I thought the cinematography, you've got close-ups of their face, and when they're going through like the fingers and the donut and all that CG looked fantastic. I didn't get the uncanny valley really at all in this movie. Originality, other than that plot with the one, definitely a lot of original beats. I do love that it's if you could say this is a family dynamic where in the, we'll call it the center reality, she's the most mundane that she's ever been. And yet by the end of the movie, it is the perfect universe where everything actually fits together, and that her daughter doesn't destroy the entire universe. I really, and a side note, I really love the rock scene when they're just two rocks. I love that part. And she's like, no swearing. Mom, really? No, I'm just kidding. And then I have to say the most unsung hero in this movie is Jamie Lee Curtis. I had no idea that was Jamie Lee Curtis. That blew my mind. I thought everybody acted very well. I'm saying I'm not sure if it's a perfect movie yet, but again, it's very close. So put me over the top.
Yeah, well, let me address a couple things. So I think what it maybe not low budget is the word, but calculated low budget scenes. For example, like when she was going through everything everywhere all at once, and all they did was take a picture of her face, change the lighting behind the camera, and turn up the volume on the music. and like blow a fan in her face. But it, like, even though it was so small acts, like they were able to like make that low budget scene feel extra large. At least that's like, I remember watching that both times. I like leaned back in my seat and I was like, the way that she's seeing the entire universe right now is almost palpable. Like with such basic cinematography, with such basic movie making, they were able to make me, in my own imagination, relate to what she's going through. And because you're right, in the CG, when they use CGI, they like really capitalized on it. But what I liked about them not using CGI is they were like, all right, Marvel has a monopoly on CGI multiverse cinema. So let's take the parts that we can and let's change it enough to keep it fresh and keep it new without dipping our toes too much into the Marvel world. Otherwise it'll be lost in translation. And then you were saying it felt like the movie The One with Jet Li, and I'm just going to chalk that up to all Asian movies look the same to you, because because it was not even close to The One. The One is about killing other universes to become ultra powerful. This was correcting timelines. So
I thought it was very similar to Crazy Rich Asians, but that's just me.
Oh man, you guys are the worst. You know, Drew's got people in the background listening to this. Japanese people, Asian people.
They don't understand you. We all look the same to them. They think I'm talking to four of myself here. But the other thing that I really liked about it is they were able to like put you on this roller coaster ride with a lap bar rather than like the shoulder straps. You know, like you got in and it was a ride. You got like the tickles in your tummy, and you felt a little unsafe because you didn't know where it was going, versus kind of what Marvel did is they wrap you in bubble wrap and then throw you on this roller coaster. And they're like, hey, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Just have fun. And this one I felt a little bit less safe because it was all over the place and it was so unique in that genre, I thought.
One thing about the low budget thing, and I'll pass it to Callum, unless you have more to say, Drew, of course. What I meant by low budget is if you look at Marvel, any of the accessories, even the practical effect, like the super suits or whatever, like that's not stuff you can buy at a store. That's stuff that's like custom made and molded to their body, and there's a whole production behind it. What was cool about this is like their little earpieces. That's a Bluetooth device you could buy at Best Buy. The chairs that they had in the van, those are chairs that you could buy. Like it felt like grounded in reality. And then obviously like the laundromat scenes, everything was just a mess, and it looked like, you know, my aunt's like messy, cluttery house. Like what I liked about it is it didn't feel like it was pulling you into this unworldly CG gobbledygook that we get so much of these days. It felt like grounded in reality. It felt like stuff that I could feel. There was texture that I could smell. I could taste. It was. But then when the CG happened, like you said, Justin, it was like phenomenal. It was grandiose. It was like it was mind bending and mind blowing. So that's what I meant by low budget. Not that the movie was literally low budget. Just meant that it felt tactile.
The last thing I'll say, and then we'll hand it to Callum, is something that, and I think Bo will really, well, two things. First of all, Justin, while I was watching it, I was so excited for you. I was like, this movie must just hit all the right notes of Justin's ADD. There's no way he's splitting this up into different, you know how you've done in the past where you'd have to like chop up movies. I'm like, this one, he's going to be locked in the entire time. So did you watch it all in one sitting?
I think I think I had a pause, you know, like we always do. You have to go to the bathroom or something like that.
Sure.
But I think I watched it one sitting. Yeah,
Counts. Good. That was something that I thought of while I was watching. The other thing though is for Bo, I was noticing that they didn't give too much exposition. They gave just enough that you almost had the freedom to create your own parallel universes inside that movie.
yeah.
Because there were so many times when
don't tell.
Yeah, where they would switch bodies and you're like, no, wait, I'm following the main character body. but they just don't even show it. They're like, yeah, they're dealing with the other universe right now, but that's not the story that we're telling. We're telling this story. And so they would keep you there, but still leaving elements which attribute to it to a perfect movie, which is afterwards you sit there and you rethink the whole movie and you're like, oh, could they make a sequel out of where she went during this scene? Or like they left so many doors open that that you're able to like think and calculate and really sit and stew in the universe. All right, Callum, what did you think?
Yeah, this was my second time watching the movie. First of all, I think I'll go over what I thought were to me, the highlights. I thought there was a great balance with it. There was, for the most part, I thought there was a great balance with it. I did feel as though it fell flat at one place, but there was a lot of funny moments. You know, made you laugh. There was a lot of silly, goofy moments. It didn't feel as though it was. It still fit, you know. It was fine. It was good. It added to the movie. There was serious moments. There was it was as you guys have already highlighted. It was kind of like realistic with just marital problems, money problems. For me, immigration problems. You know. But yeah, it's funny on this because you don't hear the laughs. I'll wait to see if you guys are laughing.
Gay problem.
Hey, I'll unmute to get my laugh on recording. That was a solid joke.
Thank you. But so yeah, I really liked how real. And another thing is it makes sense. It's kind of goofy, but it makes sense about like in order to access your own character from the multiverse, you need to do something so ridiculous in your own universe. Like, it makes it goofy, it makes it funny, but it also kind of makes sense. You know, it fits. You need to do something. So I like that. So I thought it was funny. The action was incredible at some points. That fanny pack kung fu scene that you guys have already mentioned is like one of the highlights. And then there's the security guys that are doing the ridiculous things as well, like jumping across the room, spread eagle with his legs up. It's just so ridiculous. So action amazing, comedy was great as well. The anxiety of the situation that they're in was really good. I did feel as though some of the kind of the drama, I could see they were trying to hit that, and it was there. It just didn't pack the same punch that the comedy aspect did, or the action aspect did, or the sci-fi-ish type style to it did. You know. I thought the acting was great, and let's see if there's any other highlights I want to go over. You guys have already mentioned some of the moments where they wanted to blow you away. They accomplished that. Okay, I think, and now, yeah, on you go.
I was just going to ask, were there any moments where you guys watched where you were like, that was a little too much? That was a little like. We all give exceptions to like movies, and we all give them a lot of slack. But in this movie particular, I thought they really, I think they were very careful on what they allowed to be like an eye roll moment or like wow, that wouldn't really happen. Because go ahead.
The naked pixel scene, I think, was definitely over the top. I get what they were trying to do, but it was just it went on a long time, and maybe I'm just not gay, you know, and they were going for a gay audience. So I'm glad you guys liked it.
I don't even know what you're talking about. I think I closed my eyes to it.
Yeah,
I didn't see that part.
No.
You want some Asian freak show over there.
Yeah, what movie did you download? It was a different one. That had to have been. I don't remember.
It was in the middle of it. You don't remember that?
No. Naked Pixels? I don't remember. One thing I was going to say about like Justin saying that he paused, and but essentially it was one long shot. I had to pause too. What was interesting though is I paused the movie to go get a snack, and one of my kids unpaused it, which is fine. This is my second time seeing it. But what was crazy was coming back downstairs to my TV, seeing that it was playing. It took me forever to find out where I left off because these scenes happen over and over again. I had no idea which one, like I did, which she was a movie star. It was one of those scenes, but there were so many so rapidly as it's interspliced with the timeline that you're following. It was near impossible for me to find the spot that I left off on. The whole movie's kind of the same in the sense of like the scenery and the situations and stuff. Which, by the way, do you guys know that that's the main character of that movie? She's the lady from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. So she had like a kung fu background. I didn't know that until the second time I watched it. Looked up on IMDb. So I thought that was cool that she like had some martial arts experience previous in her career, like 20 years ago, and she's able to like pull that out again as like an older actress. I thought that was really cool. I loved the message of the movie. At least this is the message that I took when her husband, who's like, you know, doing all this multiverse craziness, how he told her is like what he said something along the lines of, in my dream world, we are married, own a laundromat, and are worried about taxes. Like, that's all I want. Because he had experienced like this huge, crazy, action-packed life where life and death and hiding and jumping universes, and it's just so hectic. I love the part where he tells her that the very thing that she had been planning to divorce him over is all that he wanted. He's like, I just want a normal, calm life where we can worry about these taxes together as husband and wife and just breathe and live happily ever after. I love that message. I thought that was really cool how he like took the one thing that was bothering her, simplified it after all this adventuring, and said like, you actually have it great. Like, this is the universe that I want to be in. You know, I thought that was cool.
That's what I was alluding to at the end, is like when you finally get to the third act, you're thinking it's way more crazy, and then you come back to the original reality and realizing, oh, maybe my boring life on this planet is actually pretty interesting if I, you know, let's say what else I could have done with my life. And then you realize, well, she had everything she needed. And then that party, I guess it was an after party, right? Like where the cops there, when they're just sitting there in the parking lot, and then she talks to her daughter. And it was just like, if you didn't have all that stuff in the middle and you just saw the first 5 minutes of this movie and the last 5 minutes, it was just like they had a spat. She's worried about her taxes, and then she goes, you know what? Life is too short to worry about all this. It's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And if you cut all that out, that was the whole you know, we went from A to, let's just say, C, but there was a whole heck ton, crap ton, as we say in America, of stuff in the middle of that made it just so much more powerful than just a mundane, you know, day in the life of the laundromat owner.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I was going to say, like, the ability for them to like take you on this wild journey to where at the end you also feel mentally exhausted from trying to follow the lines. They were able to keep you scattered enough to like keep you interested in having fun, but also being able to have a cohesive story in the midst of all the craziness is just another notch on the belt of the movie makers. I was going to say the tip of the hat. Yeah.
Mixing metaphors again. What were you going to say, Callum? You started saying something.
I was going to agree with you. So I agree that the drama between husband and wife was really good. Where I thought that the drama fell flat is I never really cared about. I know you're supposed to, but I never really cared about the daughter. Never really cared about her. And then with Drew's question about was there any part where it kind of rolled your eyes? I thought that the everything bagel at the end, I can see why they done it, because it's everything everywhere all at once, and it's this girl's universe, and it's an object that is associated with everything because it's an everything bagel. But I don't know. I guess I was expecting a spectacular thing, you know. But that's that. But then again, she's a teenage girl, you know. So would there realistically be a more spectacular thing? Probably not. And this is where some of I was going to get into some of the things that I kind of felt as though for me were pulling the movie back a little bit. And I almost hate saying this because I know what the appropriate response, I know what the rebuttal is to it, but I'm going to say it anyway, which is kind of going in line with what you said, Bo, where you pause it and it takes forever to find where you were. Is I kind of think the chaos just lasted so long that it was kind of exhausting at points. And to me, I felt as though the pacing was a little bit off because of that. But the movie's called Everything Everywhere All at Once, so it's going to be chaotic. This is the rebuttal that I know is, you know, it's going to be chaotic. You need to expect that. I mean, what do you want in the movie? You want the movie to be like not the whole nothing, and then a little bit. So I understand the purpose of the movie. I think it hit the purpose of the movie, but for me, I also didn't watch it in the one sitting. I had to pause it and go and do something just because I was kind of like losing the focus of it. And I was like, I need to go make some food or something like that, and then come back and sit down and re-engage because I felt as though I was losing my engagement with it. And again, as I said, I almost hate saying that because it's the name of the movie. It's to be expected. It's to be expected that it will be chaotic, you know. But that was the only thing for me. I would say right now, like if someone that I hadn't seen it before said, Calum, I was thinking of going to see this movie, what do you think? I would say absolutely sit down, watch it right now. And if they asked me for an out of 10, I would give it a 9 out of 10. So
yeah. I think
I don't. Sorry, when you go.
I was just gonna say I think 9 out of 10 is really fair. That what I like about the movie is in the chaos, it has something for everyone, and so it like checks all of the boxes. It makes you a little uncomfortable. Like there's some scenes like for me the hot dog fingers was very weird, but like I think it was weird for everybody, and I think that was the point. Is they weren't taking themselves so serious that that critics will sit there and pick it apart. They really honed in on, oh, you think this is weird? Well, that's the point. Is somewhere in some universe it happened, and so as soon as you, I mean, it's kind of a cheap excuse, but once you give yourself to that universe of the multiverse, then I felt like the story was really cohesive and like following along. They had a lot of like offshoots, but ultimately that core story stuck true. And it was like what I was saying before. The offshoots were, for me anyways, were meant for me to like sit and resonate with it and think about the what ifs while still having the core baseline of the story arc. And so go ahead.
I'd like to add my perspective because I agree. There were so many times in the movie, maybe like 3 or 4 times, where I find myself going, and that's the point. Again, I get that that's the point, but also it's like I felt like there was a bit of fluff. There could have been some stuff trimmed down in terms of like keep going back to the hot dog fingers. Like, what did those scenes actually add to the movie after the first one, the shock and awe and the laughter? But then going back to it 2 or 3 times, I'm like, what's the purpose of that other than, you know, the following her, you know, jumping from universe to universe. But at a certain point too, and again, maybe I'm just too smooth brained to follow the movie the way that it was supposed to. But both times watching it, I remember being so engaged in the first act, and by the middle of Act 2, I had just kind of given up. I'm like, I'm just watching this to watch. Like it's fun to watch. Like I like what I'm seeing on the screen, but I have no idea what the motive of the daughter is at this point. I have no idea like how them jumping from universes and her chasing her mom, and then like when they became rocks, was that the bad daughter or the good daughter? I don't remember. But if it's the bad daughter, why are they getting along all of a sudden? So eventually I stopped following the story. I just mentally checked out, and I'm like, I'm just going to enjoy what I see on the screen because it's so fun to watch. But honestly, I have no idea the motive of so many characters. I have no, like, she was super powerful at the beginning, like, but then if her motive was to, I don't know, maybe you can fill in the gaps, or maybe we don't have the time because I felt like the story was so convoluted. But I followed generally the wife and the husband. I get their storyline, but all the fluff and all the extravagance and all the multiverse jumping, eventually I had to give up trying to follow it. And I just enjoyed it for what it was. Like it was a visual spectacle more than it was a mental spectacle for me.
Yeah, I think the hot dog fingers would have been. I think they overused it. I agree with Bo. I think it would have been like one of those ones where a flash to that reality, and people might have, chuckled, like maybe we all chuckled the first time, but then keeping on going back to it, I was kind of like, all right, I'm for the hot dog fingers, But yeah, and so how long was the movie? Was it like 2.5 hours long? Yeah, because I kind of felt as though it was a long movie. Sometimes you sit down and you watch a long movie, but it just flies through. This one didn't fly through for me. It definitely felt like a long movie. So I'm not sure if that's actually a drawback or not. But pure chaos and pure fun, and maybe are we looking for something that's a little bit more kind of like mentally engaging as well, or is the chaos and the fun like a testament to why it is such a great movie, because they're able to keep you engaged even when you're kind of like flowing through the story? Does that make sense? I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it does. Like, again, if you're not following the story, you're still enjoying the movie. That's the key. And again, I don't know if that's a knock or a praise, because I enjoyed it, but I couldn't. If somebody's like, "What was it about?" I'd be like, "Not quite sure. You'll have to watch it." And then when they watch it, they'll be like, "Still don't know." Yeah, neither do I. But wasn't that fun? Like that's kind of how I feel about this movie. One thing that came to mind when you were talking about the hot dog fingers and them overdoing it, and it would be funny if they just showed it once. What movie did that really well was Deadpool and Wolverine. When he's jumping through these multiverses and you see every version of the Wolverine that Marvel Comics has ever produced, but it's in like 10-second increment, and you just see Hugh Jackman and all these different iterations of Wolverine. That was fun. But they didn't linger on any one particular, and they didn't go back to anyone in particular. They kept the story moving along. And that's how you do that. That's how you like splice in humorous, like shock factor things. You don't keep going back to it. You don't keep going back to the well, because that well dries up real quick. And that's what I felt like happened with the hot dog fingers. I was like, that was funny at first, but the third, fourth time, what are we doing here? Jamie Lee Curtis is having so much fun, like you could tell she was like really like goofing it up for the camera, which was fun to watch, but still is like we've been discussing. I think that could have been pared back a little bit. I think just one observation among many. There's probably a lot that could have been pared back, but that's the glaring one for me. What do you think, Justin, on all these analyses? Agree, disagree? Did you follow the story? Justin, you have more of a mind for like sci-fi, multiverse, following complex storylines. Did you?
Yeah,
were you following the whole time?
Have you guys watched an anime show like Death Note or those kind of things? An anime series, not Dragon Ball Z. Come on.
I've watched Blue Eyed Samurai. That's it.
I think this one has more of those kind of tropes where they're, like not. It's silly, but because they started it, they follow through, and sometimes ad nauseum. But the Everything Babel made sense because that's what an anime. I'm looking at an anime comic or a manga or whatever you want to call it, and that just fits with the culture. Like, it doesn't make sense, but it does make perfect sense if you're in Japan, right?
It's Chinese,
so,
but
I was about to say I saw Drew just
Hey,
slowly
you were-
close his eyes as you were
You're one and the same. Hey, you all look the same.
Yep.
Yeah, you even look like your eyes are a little bit.
I'm not tired either.
We'll cut this out.
happens.
We'll cut this out.
talking. For sure.
It's almost like the water is. Um,
The diet and the rising sun.
and rice. The whole point I was trying to make is that because of the anime style of this movie, for the most part, I was able to follow the point is well said though. Let's just call it after 15 minutes and before the last 15 minutes, that 2-hour block or hour and 45 block, you could pause and go back. I don't know how you would find your way. Like, oh, this is where you're that, unless it was like an iconic scene, like the fanny pack scene or something like that. But for the most part, because you're everywhere all at once and you see all these things multiple times, it's almost like a song where it's actually in our brains where you can recall a song lyric for lyric 50 years later, 20 years later. But what you can't do is take a line and do the line before. It's in a chain. And I think that this movie is perfectly, when you watch it through, it makes sense. But if you were to stop and then try to find your way, it's like finding the lyric before it. You just can't, your brain can't do it.
Dude, that's literally what happened. I stopped looking at the TV screen and started looking at the time bar. I was like, I think I was like 35 minutes in. We'll do 30 minutes just so I don't miss anything. Like, because I couldn't find it. I spent like probably 3 eternally long minutes, like skipping back and skipping forward and I'm like, did I see that? No, I can't remember. And then eventually I just looked at the time bar. I was like, 30 minutes. Like that. It was crazy.
And so maybe that scatterbrained approach of the movie is why it may not hit for people as much, because you want progression in your story, and there subtly throughout that, but you have to pay attention to almost everything in the sequence that the movie the director puts in to get the full message. And maybe that's, I mean, it says something to the rewatchability, right? You're going to see a lot of those things that were placed in the act 1 that pay off in all the scattering of act 2, and then you're back to the same thing in act 3. Even the most uncomfortable part of the movie, it was on her desk, wasn't it, at the beginning? And a plaque. It was on the plaque.
Are you talking about the pixeled naked people again?
Yeah.
A plaque?
Maybe I got the extended edition.
Did I just miss that whole part? I don't know.
So there's the donut hole, right? The bagel hole, right? And then there's something that's missing piece.
Maybe I looked down at my bowl of cereal at that part. I don't know. I honestly have no idea what you're talking. And it looks like these guys don't either. But
I'm not too sure if I. So Justin, I'm not too sure if I follow exactly what you're saying. But are you saying that when you're watching the chaos, you kind of need to watch all of the chaos and stay engaged in order for you to be able to get a good grasp? Because I was kind of feeling as though that Bo goes and gets his food, his kid presses, let's say Vega presses play, and then 15 minutes later, if Bo, I don't know, was going to the toilet as well, Vega presses pause. If Bo sits down and just presses play again, do you think you would realize that you missed some stuff? Or do you think that you would just be like, oh yeah, still in the chaos?
That's a great question, actually. That's a great question, because it's so chaotic and there's so many branches, and I got lost when I watched it all the way through in the theater. Yeah, great question. Yeah, but sorry.
You might be able to if they say a 2-hour middle, if you made a 15 middle just with the progression of the daughter, you might actually get a 45-minute movie but do the same thing, but you miss all the, like, part of the journey is the chaos of like I wanted to spend more time with the rocks because it was so like dead quiet, and you're like, what is this?
I thought that was the genius of the rock scene, was because you had been like, they had thrust you into so much chaos for so long, you needed a breather. It was almost like a what was it called, the break in the middle of a play. I can't think of the word.
Interlude, intermission.
Yeah, it felt like an intermission almost, where you just could lean back and take a breath and be like, oh, this is nice. And you were like with the rocks, you're like, this is peaceful, and you're looking at the scenery as beautiful. But what I liked about your analogy, Justin, about anime, even though this was Chinese, not Japanese, I started watching anime pretty religiously about 6 years ago, and one of my first impressions, and something that draws me into anime, is I was so tired of the same old formulaic bullcrap that Hollywood produces, because they know that's what people like. What I loved about anime is I'm like, oh, this is not your typical hero's journey. This is not your typical 1 act, 2 act, 3 act, rapid and nice bow and the good guys win. Anime, at least from my perspective, the stuff that I've watched is so uniquely creative that you really don't know what to expect. And that's what I love about it. Anime is my escape from the Western world's formulaic cookie cutter movies. I like anime because of that. And so I think that's another reason why I liked this movie the first time I saw it. I might not have articulated it as such, but in my heart of hearts, I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of like anime. It kind of like, it scratches that same itch where I'm like, there's nothing like this that I've ever seen before in my life. I mean, you could take little pieces like The Matrix and The One and, Marvel, but setting aside like the broad, very wide similarities, once you focus on the individual movie, it's so unique. There's nothing in the world like it. And I think that is why I loved it so much, despite not even knowing, not being able to follow the plot, And so I'm like torn. I'm kind of like Callum. I don't know if that's a knock on the movie or a praise for the movie. And I think if I'm going to be honest, I have to say that it's praise, because I find myself smiling when I'm talking about it. I find myself happy when I think about it. I find myself laughing and clapping my hands when Drew suggested it as a perfect movie nomination, because now I have an excuse to watch it again. And so, like, knowing that I'm going to go into this movie not understanding the plot, yet still being so enthusiastically amped, I think that's a good thing. But I don't know. I'm psychoanalyzing myself, but it's I feel like we've all kind of felt similar things.
Yeah, that's and so it's interesting. So I'm curious now to see what the nomination is, because it's so sporadic based on, well, I'm the only one here that watched it all in one sitting, so I'm the only one that gets a say. But I'm curious on what you guys think. Like, do you think it hits the mark? Like, would you be proud to have it? I mean, obviously I would. Proud to have it in the perfect movie category, or does it just miss?
Remember this too, that audiences expect to be in a 2-hour movie, and they expect to be entertained, sad, and hitting the 3 feels. And if it was just like how it should have ended, where it's like, hey, you want to take this ring? Let's have the Eagles fly and drop it off in 5 minutes. Yes, that would be the logical thing to do if you wanted a 5-minute short. If you want to, an epic, you don't give them the easy way out. You have to go through it, and you have to live with the character. And I think that's what, like, you were experiencing how she would experience everything all at once, and she was not equipped to handle it, and then she's getting more adjusted to it. And if you just have her, I don't know how to do it, and then I know how to do everything all at once, it wouldn't feel earned. And so you need a 2-hour block. You need time to breathe, for people to grow and people to go. And even though it's subtle, like I said, the anywhere in that chaos, the increments are so subtle, you don't know where you're at. But if you look at the whole journey, when they get to the rocks, and then she's kind of reaching her daughter a little bit, because in the middle, it was like her daughter wanted her to join the one, the nothingness, the nothing burger, bagel. Sorry, the everything bagel. That's the nothing bagel on the other side. you saw her reaching, and so you can see the subtle increments once you watch the whole thing. Again, you could break it up into smaller segments, but part of the movie watching experience is going through the journey with the characters. If it was a 15-minute movie, it wouldn't hit you as hard. You need to live in the moments, even though there's like 1,000 of them.
Well said. Well said. I agree. Let's move to votes if you guys are ready. Unless anybody, Callum, do you have anything else to add before we cast our vote? No. All right. Honestly, I'm undecided. I will literally decide right now in real time. I came into this leaning yes, but I'm like, if somebody points out something glaring that I missed, I think, okay, so this is really interesting because this is a different vote for me than any of the other movies that we've done before, because I think I'm going to vote yes, it's perfect, while also admitting that I wasn't very invested in the characters the movie was designed to get me invested in. I really wasn't able to follow the plot very well. Like if somebody asked me what it was about for details, I couldn't go into details. I'd be like, honestly, I don't know. And yeah, those are like the two main. It was a little bit long. I'm with Callum. The pacing, the reiteration of useless dimensions that we didn't need to see over and over again. Again, that affected the pacing. But again, these are like nitpicky things and nitpicky things that aren't movie mistakes. They're just kind of preferences. And I know we that's like what we always hash out in these discussions, right? It's like Alan's constantly trying to rewrite movies, and I'm like, no, we're analyzing the movie we have, like the movie that was made. Like, stop throwing in like these. So I don't want to do that either. But again, it's just my gut. This is a vote based on my gut. Like I said before, I get excited when I think about this movie, and I would get excited if like there was a big group of friends and they're like, let's watch this movie. I'd be like, absolutely, yeah. Like, let's grab some popcorn. Like, it's a fun movie. It really is so much fun. And so my gut is telling me yes, even though there are a few things I don't like about it. I still think that the movie is a perfect movie. Yeah, I'd say yes. There you go. There's a long explanation for yes. My vote is yes. Hopefully I don't regret it. Why would I regret it?
Well, your yes vote was almost more convincing that it was a no. You were like, I'm saying it's perfect, but, and I'm like, but, oh, maybe it's not. I'm like, I'm getting convinced it's not perfect right now.
I don't know. Maybe I need to review the list of perfection again. Maybe it's late. Maybe I'm out of my mind. But again, this is a gut, not a cerebral vote for me. I guess that was the point I was trying to make. Is I can identify things wrong with this movie, but I don't think it dilutes its perfection, personally, because it's so much fun.
Perfect. You already said yes. You can't take it back.
Nothing is safe. Nothing is sacred. I'll go next. So I'm going to put a caveat. There are certain scenes that I never want to see again in this movie, and I guess Brother Bacon would call it the cockroach in your ice cream. Okay. And I really want to take that thing and gouge my eyes out. Okay. So
didn't we already establish that those scenes don't exist though?
They don't. I want a different cut of the movie. Because I understand that different cultures have different things, but I don't think in good faith, most of the people that I hang out with, besides you guys, I could not recommend this movie to them, because I would feel so embarrassed. Like you guys are beating around the bush right now. They would be like, give me your recommend, and I don't know. Anyway, so if I were to watch this movie again or on TV, I had no problems watching it again. But I feel like there needs to be definitely some edits. Just a few scenes.
This episode was brought to you by VidAngel. So thanks for segueing that in.
And That 2 hours now is shrunk down to 2 minutes. So I would say, I think it's a perfect movie, even though some of those scenes rub me the wrong way.
Sweet.
Callum.
I'm gonna vote that it's not a perfect movie.
You would. It's because you don't understand them.
I would like to preface that by saying I love Asian people. My sister-in-law is from China. Some people I love, Drew's family from Japan. I love Asian people. North Koreans are good. No, I don't know. Like I was teetering as well, just like Bo was. But as Bo fell to one side, I was falling to the other side, to be honest. And I'm kind of like, as you guys were saying, I would have no problem watching this movie. Justin just said that I'd have no problem watching this movie again. When he was saying that, I was like, I'd feel apprehensive about watching the movie again. I'd feel kind of like I would see it as I'm scrolling and think, oh, it's a good movie. Don't want to watch it though. No, not this time. And I think I would think that pretty often. And I do think I understand what Justin was saying about being there for the journey. I felt as though that if I was watching the movie and it was like 2 hours, then great. But 2.5 hours, I just felt, I'm like, okay, this is a exhausting journey. So that's but man, if anyone asked me, should I see it, I would say absolutely. But I just think, as Drew said, would you be proud to have it up there in the perfect movie category? I think that'd be one where I'd kind of question it every time I saw it there.
Can you give me like or try to like say your reasons you don't think it's a perfect movie, like just in 2 sentences? Is there a way for you to like formulate it?
Yeah, I would say maybe the 2 main things. How about that? The 2 main things are, I felt as though one of the main characters fell flat, which was the daughter. I didn't like her. I didn't like her journey. I didn't feel emotionally connected to her. I didn't care about her development. I didn't like that. I cared about the mother. I cared about the husband. But the daughter, I just didn't care about her. And then and when I say this, I'm not just meaning like I'm bored. I felt as though the length of the movie, 2.5 hours, it felt like a long movie, and there was lots of scenes within the movie where I was kind of like bored of that scene. And it was a scene that I knew I shouldn't be bored of, but there was so much kind of repetitiveness that I thought some of it was unnecessary, and I thought it would have packed a stronger punch if it was more succinct. So those are the 2 main ideas that I kind of just feel as though are a little bit, holding it back for me.
Got it. I was asking to see if I could rebuke it, because I think everybody feels the same way about the villain, the daughter in the movie. Is she wasn't like I don't know. She wasn't like in what's the bad guy in King Arthur who stole the show. Like, she didn't control it. She didn't have like a presence of a bad guy. She was just there to cause chaos and like, thank you, Vortigern. She was just there to cause chaos and like she was just part of the plot point. But I think if you step back, like the journey of the movie, like the whole point of her was, in every universe, her life was so chaotic that she was then like, okay, like if this is what my life is anyways, then I'm just going to destroy all of them. Like, it's better if nothing. So it was, I'm not saying that like it's my cup of tea per se, but like the young teenager struggling, trying to fit into a modern world with old fashioned parents, and they don't understand. And she's trying to, like, she's all twisted inside. That was like the motivation, was like a teenage, which isn't great. Like, it's not a great storyline. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that there is reason for her to be there. And like, it did progress the story in the sense that it was relatable to a younger, opposite gender than mine audience of, yeah, I get that. Like, my parents don't listen to anything that I say. And like, I feel like the whole universe is crumbling in on me anyways. And so I think maybe that's the route that they took in that sense, which may not have been the strongest route, but also I don't think that they were focused on the bad guy. I think they were more focused on the relationship between the mom and the dad, and like the reuniting, and within all of this chaos, her choosing love and understanding in her family rather than the easy way out, which is separation and destroying the multiverse. And like, that was the core story, not so much of let's focus on the daughter and her, you know, her teenage drama life. And so,
Yeah, I was gonna say it's more about the family. She was just one of the family members, and maybe that's fallen flat for you. When in the middle of the movie, it seemed like she was the main baddie, but she was just one because she was dealing with her husband, who was like three-faced, right? So like, remember in the camera in the first act, he's jumping around doing Jackie Chan stuff to get to the lady in the mirrors, and then you have this bumbling glasses one, and then you have his debonair one who's just in love with her and a movie star himself or whatever. And then you have the grandpa who they're, you know, trying to avoid modern things, like, don't worry about grandpa, he's checked out, and then they're trying to hide things from him. So there's a whole family dynamic, not just one character. But you would know that if you actually followed the movie, you know, A, B, C, D there, Callum.
Callum, let me just, go ahead, respond. You want?
I mean, do you want me to respond, or are we wrapping up? You want me to respond? Okay. I understand where you guys are coming from, and I think those would be reasonable rebuttals if the movie was aimed for teenage girls. But the movie's not aimed for teenage girls, you know. Like, you wouldn't send your 14-year-old daughter to the movies to go and watch this movie. You know what I mean? And I understand that it is an interesting character because she is the main kind of like aggressor in the movie. And even though she isn't like the main character, she's the main aggressor. And if the main aggressor falls flat, then at the end, when the mother's trying to stop her from going into the black hole of a bagel, I'm like, I don't care. Go in. You know what I mean? Like, I care more about the mother and father saving their marriage, but I don't care if the daughter survives or not.
right. Well, but that was like the whole point, was she was going to ruin all universes. And that's when the main character was like, well, if I just want my family, I want that same mundane life back. I don't want all the chaos. And that's where she like talked to her, and she's like, even that crazy life, even that terrible life is worth life. And like, don't destroy the whole universe because you're having a hissy fit. Like, even the life that I didn't want, that I was going to ruin, is worth life. And so I think there was just, I think maybe it might have been a cop out to like have such a weak villain, but I think that with a weak villain, they were able to have a strong message, which to me justified kind of having a nonchalant shrug the shoulders, like, it's no, you know, Magneto, Omega level mutant type of bad guy. But I see what they're going for, and she's having a meltdown, and she's about to destroy the universe. And that's the whole point of this movie, is to stop Jabu or whatever her name was in there from like creating this rift and the black hole, because even that crappy life is worth something. And I think that was the whole point of the movie, which to me anyways was concluded at the end when she was like, and Bo said it too, when he's like, that's the only life that I want. And so at the end you get that resolution of like, now in every universe, it is understood that the family dynamic, the three generations that they were showing throughout the entire movie, of like the old guy, the mom and dad, and then the new generation, and how different they are, they were able to turn it into coil them all together and say, this is a story, and this is what life is about, is love and understanding, I guess would be the like crux, the theme, which...
Yeah, it's like This Is Us for an Asian audience.
Drew talking just now explained, like, I understood more of the movie from his little 4-minute explanation there than watching the movie itself. I like to clarify my vote is based on the wow factor, because and after this I'll pass it to Callum for our next movie, unless anybody has anything else to say. But what's interesting is that El Dorado I voted no on, even though it was a better story. It was easier to follow. I followed every step along the way. But I voted no. It is an excellent movie, but I voted no because it didn't have the wow factor. This one's the inverse. I didn't follow the story. I didn't know like all the characters' motives and everything else. But the movie wowed me. And for me personally, that's like I told you guys when I was explaining El Dorado, like that is my top tier determining factor as to whether or not a movie is perfect. Is like, is the movie good? That's one thing. Okay, check. But then did it wow me? And it's the wow that really like. And so anyway, that's why I voted yes, even though I don't really understand and I actually agree with everything that Callum said. I just think that the wow factor for me overrides the little negative nitpicks that we could all find. Callum, you ready for the movie? For the announcement of our next movie?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, let's hit it.
This is totally different feel to Everything Everywhere All at Once. By the way, before I get, I'm excited to hear what the other guys have to say about Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm looking forward to this conversation continuing on Marco Polo. But the next movie has, in my opinion, the greatest actor of all time. I think it will be a good discussion. You want me to tease it more? You want the actor?
No. Keep teasing. Dangle the carrot.
Came out in 2007. The actor is, in my opinion, the greatest actor of all time. No.
Okay.
Daniel Day-Lewis is the actor.
Ooh.
Okay.
And the movie is There Will Be Blood.
Oh.
There will be blood.
There will be blood.
Justin.
I drink it up. I can't say anymore.
That movie is like, do you guys listen to the Rewatchables podcast?
Mm-hmm.
There's this guy, it's a movie fanatics podcast, but there's this guy in the his name is slipping my mind right now, but it's his favorite movie. He always talks about it. He loves it. And so I haven't seen it since I've been listening to the podcast, and I've been meaning to. So this is
Hose went.
freeze. Did I freeze?
Yeah,
Yeah, you froze.
back. You're back.
Oh, sorry about that. Anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this movie. Good nomination, Callum. Perfect.
I just wanted to say, Daniel Day-Lewis is Ireland, and you're in Scotland. So how does that work if he's wearing the green, and you say he's the best actor ever? I just want to know how that works, Callum.
Well, Justin, he's not from Ireland. He's from London.
His citizenship is United Kingdom and Ireland.
Okay.
I'm surprised you didn't know that.
I didn't know we were judging movies based on the actor's nationality, you crazy
Well,
loser.
Justin
I
clearly
mean-
was. He thought with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
This is going. All Europeans act the same, and no, I thought the best actor was Sean Connery, but you're choosing an Irishman, Irish English.
Justin, we voted no on first night. Give it up, man. Just give it up.
Never,
And
ever.
I'm not sure that this is the best movie that Daniel Day-Lewis is in. I think there's some like ones that are less of a debate, but I think this will maybe provide good conversation. So
Yeah, all of his movies are phenomenal. So this is going to be a good one to discuss. I'm excited.
Same.
okay, gents.
All right. Thanks for the
Thanks, boys.
discussion, guys. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Love you, dudes.
Night, night.
Good night.